Hello, I am the artist known as DEROSNEC, and welcome to my weekly vlog where I talk about making music, art, movies, and more. Last week I talked about figuring out which tools to use when starting an illustrative piece. Once I've decided what the materials and size will be, I can start to rough out a sketch. Sometimes this is organic. For example, in digital media, I can easily just sketch right onto a layer, but in real media, it's helpful to thumbnail out some design ideas on a paper and pencil to see what works and what doesn't before using the final materials. Many times the final materials can be messy or expensive, so it helps to have a plan before going in. For example, when working on a commission, I like to know that the client is happy with the direction before putting a lot of time and effort into production. This is also a common way to start storyboards, as you have to get the story and the ideas out quickly in many cases, and things can change rapidly as the movie and script progress, so it's important to be able to stay flexible. The thumbnail, in my view at least, is where you can work out the composition and the story. A lot of times this ends up looking like a collection of shapes or blobs. It's not really about details. It's about setting up where everything is going to be and making sure that the intended audience will be able to read it in the way that you want it to be read. And color can definitely be involved too. Usually I'll also take this thumbnail time as an opportunity to seek out reference if I need it, as it can influence the composition and sometimes the story. A bird looking up tells a different story than a bird looking down, or looking at you, etc. These days, it's easy to find photographic reference on the internet, but you will get better at drawing if you can work on finding the real thing. Many times this isn't possible, but you'd be surprised what you can find out there. If you want to draw an animal, for instance, go to the zoo with a sketchbook and practice drawing the animal you want to incorporate, or a similar animal if your local zoo doesn't have it. Rocks and trees have thousands of different textures and shapes to learn and emulate also, and those things, usually, are pretty accessible without having to go too far. When it comes to people and figures, a life drawing class is always a great place to get some mentorship. But seriously, you can also just go to the park or a cafe and people watch. The best thing about referencing from life for drawing practice, in my opinion, is understanding mass. Your ability to make something pop off a piece of paper will be more effective if you understand mass, and you'll be better able to capture it from life. The way I see it, at least, is that it's physically impossible to visually comprehend mass from a 2D image, probably because it's been flattened. The other big benefit of using live or real-life reference, in my opinion, is movement. If you've ever tried to draw a kid or an animal, you'll know that it's pretty difficult because they don't sit still. Try doing some very quick gesture drawings, which are simply lines which try to capture the flow of movement. It will add quite a bit of life to your illustration. Next week, we'll talk about taking that thumbnail and all the gathered reference and finally starting the final piece. Just a reminder, all my suggestions are definitely not hard and fast rules for drawing, but they're processes which I've found helpful, especially when making certain kinds of artwork. I hope that you find some of this information helpful too. So how do you prepare for your final pieces of art? What kinds of reference and planning materials do you gather before you start? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up button below, it helps me more than you know. And join the Uncensored by subscribing to my YouTube channel, my newsletter, or by following me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, your favorite social media network. If you never want to miss a video, be sure to click the little notification bell icon too. Thank you so much again, and I will see you next time.